Alright guys, today we are taking it to India. Dhruv Rathee, I wonder if I got the name right. He's an Indian content creator and he's so huge on YouTube. Today we'll be breaking down one of his edits. And big shout out to my guys from India for requesting this video. Alright guys, let's get started. We're gonna cheat a little bit today. I use Apple Motion to create these 3D animations, and I know it's not famous compared to After Effects. So today we'll be using Photoshop to create that style. I know we're using second software to create this. CapCut doesn't have this 3D workspace that you can create all these 3D animations. So we're gonna create it in Photoshop, then we'll import it into CapCut. Alright guys, let's go straight to it. So first we'll go to Photoshop and we'll create a new file. Just click on that and then we'll choose custom 1920 by 1080. Click on create. Then next step, go to your browser. Let's search for, first of all, the brown wood. Go to images and then you can download one of them from here. I think something like this looks closer to what he was using. So you just download and save it in your folder. Then later search for map of Gaza. And I'm going to leave exactly the one I'll be using in this tutorial. I'm going to leave a link down below. You can download and follow along. I think it's somewhere down below. So just download it and save it in the folder. So we're going to start working in Photoshop, get all the files that we'll be using before we move on to CapCut. So go to where you save the map, drag and drop in the Photoshop workspace. So this is the one we're going to use. Let's just name it. Then with this, we're going to change it to 3D. When you look at his edit, it looks like something in a 3D workspace. Click on 3D and click on new 3D extrusion. So now it's going to convert and take us to the 3D workspace. I'm not that good with Photoshop, so you guys bear with me with this. Let's just close this side. And then with the extrusion depth, let's take it to 0. And what that does is, let me show you guys. When I increase that, and then let me just select this icon and move it and show you guys. You can see it add this at the background, this 3D look to it, and we don't want it with this look that we're going for. So when you turn it to 0, it just shrink everything back to where it is. Then with the cast shadows and cut shadows, take it off too. So now we'll start working with this image. Let's just move it this way. And with this, you just be playing around it to get it nicely like how he does it in his edit. So I'm just gonna do this way and then click on this icon and move it to this very side. Then I'm gonna click on this once again and start working on it. Then I'm just gonna click on this and move it to this side. And then I'll click on this icon so I can move it onto the screen a little bit. And then when you're done, go to this side on the software, double click on that, and it's going to give you this window. Then click on drop shadow. Then let's just click on that and work on the angle. I think we can go for something like this. And then the distance, I can take it a little bit closer to the map. And then with the opacity, I can work on it a little bit. So now I just click on OK, and you can see we have this 3D look, and it's going to fall on the wood, brown wood that we'll be using in CapCut. And when you're done and you're happy with this, make sure the background, you take it off. We don't want the background to show. And now we're going to export this as a PNG file. So with this, you just go to File, Export, and then click on Save for Web. Then when this window pops up, make sure you choose PNG on this side and then click on Save. Go to where you want to save it and then make sure you name it so it doesn't confuse you later on. So with this, I'm just going to name it map, and then it's going to export and save for us. Now the next thing is to get the 3D text before moving to CapCut. Click on this T, or you can press T to bring the text out. And then click on the screen. Let's just change the name of it. And then with the font, he was going for something like Gotham Black. If you don't have it, you can download on dafont.com and import it. Then I'll click on this icon, increase it, and then turn it this way on the screen. Let me just move it a little bit to this side. So just like we did previously, go to 3D, select new 3D extrusion. Then let's just close this. And then with the extrusion depth, let's take it to 0. And then with the cut shadows and cast shadows, take it to 0. So now with this, let me click on this icon so I can move it a little bit this way. So I'm just going to play around it and then click on this icon and move it up a little bit. Then click on this icon and move it up on the screen a little bit. Now I'm just going to click on this and move it back to this very side. Now just click on this side and play around it. So I think something like this looks pretty cool. Then when you're done, we need to drop shadow on it. So just go to this side and double click on this. Then we can take drop shadow and it's going to bring the drop shadow right at the down. And when you look at its edit, it has this long distance between the text and the drop shadow. So we're going to do that. Click on the drop shadow, then go to distance and move it a little bit. Then with the angle, we're going to move it a little bit so it will come on this side. So let's just go to somewhere 140 or 138. So something like this looks pretty cool. So then when you're happy with the opacity, you can play around it a little bit. So I think somewhere like this looks pretty cool, and then we'll click on OK. When you're happy with this, go to the right side. Let's close this and then make sure you turn off map. We just want to export this very text. Now go to File, click on that and click on Export. Then select Save for Web. Then make sure you select PNG and click on Save. Then this time around we'll name it Text and save it. Now as we are still in Photoshop, let's get the animated lines right in Photoshop before we go to CapCut and start working on it. So with this, I'll just turn the text off and turn on the map because we're going to use the lines on the map itself. So with the map, go to the pen tool, this very tool. If you can see it, just right click that and select pen tool. Then we're going to draw around this very one, but make sure you have the fill turned off, and also make sure you've selected the stroke red color or any color you want to use for the line animation. So I'm going to maintain it at red. Then with the size, I'm going to go for somewhere 16. So with these lines, we're going to create 3 times so the animation will be easy in CapCut. So let me start with the top one. That's going to be my line 1. So I'll just start from here and make this lines on the map. Then with this pen tool, you can click and hold it and it's going to give you this curved line if you want to curve around the map or any objects. With this, I'm just going to go for a straight line. So Command Z to go back and just draw my lines. So once I'm done, go to the top side, click on this drop down menu and let's select the dash. Then click on more options because we want this dash to be a little bit small. It looks too thick. So with this on the dash, delete that and type in 1. And as you can see, it looks very short on the screen. Click on OK. Now we want to export just these lines, so make sure you turn off the map so the lines will be on the screen. Then as we did previously, go to File, Export, Save for Web. Then make sure you have PNG, click on Save, and this time around we name it line 1. And naming it will make it easy for you later on when we are in CapCut. Then click on Save. Now let's turn on the map once again and turn off Shape 1. And we're going to do this line once again on this very side. Then once done, turn off the map. So File, Export, Save for Web. Make sure you have PNG, Save, and then this time around we'll name it line 2. Now we need to do the third one. So with this, turn on the map once again and turn off Shape 2. And now we're going to draw on this side. Now we are in CapCut and we're going to import everything, including the wood brown that we downloaded earlier on. So we just bring that one in first. And before we start working on it, click on this side on the screen and click on Modify. And we're going to turn on Free Layer and it's going to make your life easier later on. I'll show you guys. Then click on Save. So first we're going to bring in our map that we did in Photoshop. Just drag and drop in the timeline. So now the next thing, when you look at his edit, he has this black shadows giving this vignette look on the screen, and we're going to do that. So go to the left side, click on Library, make sure you are under Media. Then click on this black background, drag and drop in the timeline. let's make it the same length as the rest of them. Then with that selected, go to the right side and click on mask. Then click on circle and use the on-screen controls to increase it a little bit to this form. Then go to the right side and click on reverse icon. So it's just going to affect the edges. Now on fader, let's take it to somewhere 5. So when you look carefully on the screen, let me click on this side. You can see it's creating these black shadows on the edges, and he was using that a lot. So just click on media, click on the import, and as you can see, we named them already. So we'll bring all of them. Let's start with the one. Just drag and drop in the timeline. You can see it on the screen now. Now take your playhead to the very beginning of that. Let me just take it there and make sure you click on the line 1. Then go to the right side and click on mask. Then click on split. Now let's use the on-screen controls and rotate it this way. Because of this white, it's going to be hard to see it, but when you look carefully, there's the line. And then I'm just going to take it to take off all the lines. Then on fader on the right side, let's take it to somewhere 2, and then make a keyframe on position. Then go somewhere 30 frames forward. And this time around, just drag this side so the whole dotted lines will show. And automatically it's going to create a keyframe on position, since we've created first keyframe on the same parameter on that very line. So now when I play and show you guys, you can see it comes in slowly to this side. So where it ends, when you look at it, it has this keyframe on this very side. That's where we're going to begin with line 2. So let's just bring in line 2, drop it in this side. Then let's just trim this side to make it the same length as the rest of them. So just like we did earlier on, make sure you click on this line 2 and make sure your playhead is at the starting of it. Then go to the right side, click on split. Then use the on-screen controls. Let's rotate it a little bit to this side and let's just move it so it will take off that dash line. Then go to the right side, make a keyframe on position, and then on fader, let's take it to 2. Then go 20 frames forward, and this time around use the on-screen controls and move it down so the dash lines will show. So now when I play, this one comes in and this continues. So now click on the line 2 and take your playhead to where this second keyframe is. That's where the line 3 is going to start animating in. So go to this side, drag line 3 and drop in the timeline. Let's make that the same length as the rest of them. Then make sure your playhead at the start of it and click on the line 3. Then go to the right side, under mask, click on split. Now use the on-screen controls, rotate it to something like this, and then drag it so we can take off this part of it. Then go to the right side, make a keyframe on position, and then on fader, increase it to 2. Then go 30 frames forward and drag it till all the lines show on the screen. And you can see this very side, if you want to animate it separately, then you can do from Photoshop and name it line 4 so you can easily do the animation. But for the sake of this tutorial, I just made it as one part. So now when you look, when I play, it comes in and it animates on the screen. Now when you look at his edit, it has this flashing on this side on the screen. So with that, I have this that I got online. I'm going to leave a link down below. You can click and download it for yourself. So I'm just going to drag and drop in the timeline. Now let me just make it the same length as the rest of them. Now let's just increase it to fill the whole screen. So with this overlay, we just want it to be on top of this wood, so we're just going to drag it down, and because we are using the free layers, we have to just move them down so it will just go straight to that very layer without turning it on the right side, if you remember carefully on the previous tutorials we've been doing. So with this, I'm just going to drag it so it will be on top of the brown wood. So now you can see it's just on this brown wood. Then with that selected, go to the right side, on blend mode, choose screen. And when I play, you can see it affects only that side. Now we're going to make a compound clip of all of them. Just select all, right click and create compound clip. And then we're going to do some small zoom in on this very compound clip. Take your playhead to the very starting of it Then go to the right side and make a keyframe on scale. Then go to when the lines end on the screen, so you can see it ends on right there. We just take our playhead to that very side and then go to the right side and make a keyframe on scale. And this time around, just increase it a little bit on scale. So now when I play, when it's animating, it's increasing on the screen too. Now we're going to bring in our text, and the text is on this side. This is it. Because it's black and it was PNG, you can't really see it. But then I'm just going to drag it in the timeline and you can see it's on the screen. Take your playhead to the very starting of it and make sure you click on that very text. Then go to the right side and make a keyframe on position. Then go 28 to 30 frames forward and make another keyframe on position. And this time around, we're just going to drag it using the on-screen down a little bit on the screen. And then you play and check how it looks like. So when the animation between it looks very long, you can just drag the keyframe closer to the first one so the animation will come in very fast. So I think somewhere like this, and then I'll play and see how it looks like. So now take your playhead to the second keyframe you created. This is the second keyframe. Make sure you are on the text, the 3D text. Then go 5 or 6 frames forward. Then make a keyframe on scale. We're going to increase the scale of it, but then let's just click on this compound clip so we can see where the second keyframe on that one is. It's on this side. So we're just going to take our playhead there and then select the text. Then we can increase the size of it a little bit. So now I'll play all together and show you guys. And now when you look at his edit, it has this blurry to the side of it, very strong blur, and this is how we're going to do it in CapCut. Click on the compound clip, press Option and drag upwards so we can create a duplicate of that very one. Now with that, go to the left side, click on Effect, scroll down, and we're going to use blur for this. And I already have it over here because I click on this star. When you click on the star, you're going to favorite it and it's going to be at the top. So I'm just going to drag it and drop on the top one that we just duplicated. Then with the blur, I think 50 looks quite okay. So I'm going to leave it at 50. Then click on this side so we can bring the rest of the parameters out. Then go to the right side, click on Mask. Then click on Circle. Then click on this reverse icon so we can just affect the side or the edges of it. Now let's just increase it on the screen to somewhere like this. He was using very strong blur. And then on feather, we're going to increase it a bit so I can go for 10 and see how it looks like. So I think somewhere 16 looks pretty cool. So when you look at it, it has this very strong blur to the edges and this side on the screen. So now I'll play it all together and show you guys what we have so far. We're going to transition into second. Let me bring the second image in. This, I'm going to leave a link down below. You can download it and follow along too. Just going to drag it and drop in the timeline. Let me make it a bit short. And with this, if you have the Pro version, you can just select all of them, right click and create a compound clip. But because I'm using a free version, I cannot create second compound clip. So this is the trick we're going to use. We want to transition to come in somewhere here. So just take our playhead here. Let's trim all this side off. So I'm just going to trim this side off, trim it off, and trim this side off too. Then take my playhead back a little bit. So with this, we're going to export this frame. Just go to these 3 dashes at the top, click on that, select export still frame, and then we're just going to name it image 1. Then choose where you want to save it at. Click open, 4K, leave everything just like that, and make sure you turn on import projects and then click on export. And right there, CapCut is going to import that for us. So we just drag it and drop it in the timeline. Let me just make it short. And with this, we're going to use transition that looks closer to what he was using. Go to transitions on the left side, then scroll down. And the one he was using looks closer to this very one. So we're just going to drag it and drop it in between these very 2 clips. And then when I play and show you guys, it just transitions straight into it. So from here you can use your own transition if you want to, or if you want to go exactly what he was doing. So now, for not making this tutorial very long, I'll be providing a longer version on my Patreon page. Yes, I've created a Patreon. So if you want to support this channel, or if you want to see this channel going on, you can go check on the longer version on there. Also, I'll be providing more free assets on that very Patreon page as a thank you to anyone who will be supporting me on Patreon. All right, guys, that's all for today. Catch you on the next one. Peace.